Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me. Taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Couple of tidbits here. Number one, the teleprompter operator who works in the White House reportedly, allegedly leaked tonight's speech ahead of time and is under investigation. And the fake news is sitting there, 2020, everybody knows exactly who won. And no, millions of people actually have concerns about who won. Not saying Joe Biden wasn't the 46th president of the United States. He was. I want to dip back into this one more time, if you don't mind. Caroline Leavitt, her first press conference in many months after having that baby.
He'll be on paid administrative leave. I'm sorry, without pay. The administrative leave is unpaid, to be very clear. That was a decision by the president, so I think that speaks for itself.
On the concerns about the election, will the president accept the results of November's elections?
Look, Ed, you should tune into the president's speech tonight before you jump ahead to conclusions about what's actually in the speech. Again, I've seen a lot of reporting and misreporting about what the president will say. We hope CBS will take the speech and all Americans should take it.
Okay, but I'm not presuming it. I'm just asking if he accept the results.
Caroline, two questions on the Trump account. First, following the birthright citizenship case, is there concern that babies that are born to illegal immigrants here in the United States are not excluded from these accounts? And also, since the $1,000 per child from the Treasury seeds these accounts, can you assuage concerns from those who feel this is wealth redistribution?
I would certainly not describe it as that. As you know, this was an incredible private-public partnership. We had incredibly generous Americans, Michael Dell, and many
right.
others.
All right,
who
thank you very much.
contributed.
She's right. There's so much money coming from the private sector on that stuff. Pretty wild. The teleprompter operator. I wonder, they have a full-time teleprompter operator at the White House. Huh, how about that? That's a very easy job. That's something that you can, quite frankly, do on your own. Back when I used a teleprompter, I always felt best when I operated the teleprompter myself. Then I realized, what the hell am I doing with this silly teleprompter? The thing is ridiculous. First, I try to rewrite what everybody else wrote me, and that takes too long, right? This is 15, 20 years ago. Then I said, the best TV writing is writing that kind of mimics spoken word, right? How you speak. I liken it to this way. You know, I told you guys I'm a pilot, right? So I could work for the next 6 weeks on a flight simulator program on a computer, and it would stink in the end. All right, it'd be very rudimentary and crude. Or I could go out right now and fly a plane, rent a plane, go flying for the afternoon. What's better? What's more realistic? So you can spend all your time writing to sound conversational, or just be conversational. See what I mean? Donna in Connecticut, how are you?
But he is not a steward of the public trust. In fact, it is the opposite.
So, translation, the woman is basically saying she doesn't want to pay rent. If you don't have eviction, how are you going to force professional tenants that don't want to pay? How are you going to force them to pay rent? What's going to happen with this rent freeze? You see, hallelujah today, tomorrow you'll be crying like a baby when there are no repairs in the apartment. The city is already going down. How much more do you need to see? Folks, somebody has to pay the bills. Yeah, the billionaires are leaving, the millionaires are leaving. You're making life impossible for the landlords. Who's going to pay the bills? That's the bottom line at the end of the day. So what was Mamdani doing? And I'm on the fence about this. Part of me says it's the right thing to do. Part of me says it's a stunt, a publicity stunt. The World Cup finals, semifinals, whatever. I just want it to be over and done with. Let's stick with some baseball, and let's get to NFL football and hockey and basketball. I don't care about your World Cup. Yeah, I want the money, the financial gain, but I don't want the inconvenience, and I'm not a big World Cup fan. Mamdani, before I get to my topics, was at Rikers Island watching the game with inmates, and this is what he had to say.
I hope that this shares with people who are incarcerated here on Rikers that they too are a part of New York City. The World Cup has been a magical moment for the entire city. these are New Yorkers, and they will be New Yorkers when they get out of Rikers. They're New Yorkers today, and I wanted to make sure that we can celebrate this moment together.
Again, I'm still on the fence. I don't know. Kai Trump, President Trump's granddaughter. She's the golfer. Her mother has cancer. Kai Trump updating us on the condition of her mother's health.
How is your mom doing? I know she was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Yeah, I mean, she's doing better. Obviously, radiation takes a toll on your body, but she's doing better and feeling better. She's been a little tired, but yeah, she's a fighter. If anyone can go through it, and she can definitely, she's a fighter. She'll be fine.
Okay, let's get to my subjects of the day. Tim Walz was a heartbeat away from the Oval Office. He would have been number 2 under Kamala. What a disaster it would have been for America. But I don't get the politics of Democrats these days. They really are the party of criminals and are proud of it. I don't see how you win an election. So Walz, as the governor of Minnesota, pardons a criminal. This man convicted in horrible ways of raping a 10-year-old girl. Who pardons a rapist of a 10-year-old girl? Who does that? Unless you're Loco Diablo. Who does something like that, right? So I want you to listen to Walz, the defiance here. Listen to what this man is saying. This man, if something had happened to Kamala, would have been the president of the United States of America. Listen to Governor Walz.
Did that make us any safer? Did that make the children that are left behind any more stable? Did it improve the idea that we can't all be judged by our worst day? And I want to be very clear, these are horrific crimes. They often are.
Wow. So Walz was responding there to the Trump administration, forced to step in and do his job. After he dropped the ball in pardoning this guy, the Trump administration said, I don't think so, and deported this guy the way that it should be. What is wrong with you, Tim Walz? And with all due respect, Governor, with all due respect, you know, your wife, I refer to her also as Wee. She's the one that talked about she opened the windows so she could smell the rioting from the George Floyd riots. Remember that? That's his wife. So, Governor, if it was your wife, God forbid, that was raped, would you want the criminal pardoned? And, Governor, you have a young daughter. She's in her 20s, right? Would you still have the same position, Governor Dum Tim Walz, if it was your own daughter that was raped? Would you want that man pardoned? And at least, rape is horrible, but at least your daughter is in her 20s. Now imagine a 10-year-old girl. And this, folks, is what Secretary of State Marco Rubio had to say upon deporting the man.
Just weeks ago, a convicted sex offender and a foreign national was shielded from deportation by the governor of Minnesota. Laotian national Tu Li Vang was convicted of repeatedly sexually abusing a 10-year-old girl in the state of Minnesota. He even tried to pay his victim for her silence, and he called his heinous crimes a minor thing. Just days before this foreign sex offender was scheduled to be deported, Tim Walz, the governor, issued him a pardon, setting him free to once again endanger the children of America. Well, this week I revoked his legal status in the United States, and as a result, federal agents took him into custody, and as of today, he has been removed from the United States. Because of our action, this foreign criminal will never pose a threat to any American ever again. Americans must never be forced by their elected leaders to live alongside foreign sex criminals who have no right to begin with to reside in our country. This administration will always stand with the American people and defend them from violent criminals.
Now, folks, let me say again, if I took your telephone call yesterday, it's not fair to the people today to think that you're going to get back on the air today. There's one of you in the queue that I spoke to yesterday. I am not going to take your call today. It's simply not fair. The volume of calls that come in, we have to recycle in and out different people. Yes, so the person is now gone, okay? You can't call 2 days in a row and think you're going to get on the air. It doesn't work that way. Okay. Horse carriages in Central Park. I was on the fence for a very long time. It's wrong to get rid of them.